People give because they want to feel good. They want to make an impact. They want to change something. It gives them a sense of empowerment. And so if you can give that to them.
Welcome to Keep It Local, a podcast of the Local Media Association. The Local Media Association is intensely focused on helping local media companies discover new and sustainable business models. Welcome to the Keep It Local podcast. My name is Ryan Welton with Local Media Association. This is our podcast where we talk to folks in LMA and in newsrooms across the country about topics relating to newsroom and journalism sustainability. And I am pleased to be joined today by our Director of Fundraising Initiatives here at LMA, Kristyn Cooper. Welcome, Kristyn.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Thank you. We're going to talk about something called Giving Tuesday today, but I want to start at the beginning because not only is this Kristyn's first time on the Keep It Local podcast, Kristyn's also brand new to LMA. So Kristyn, welcome. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be doing for Local Media Association?
Well, again, thanks for having me on today. My name's Kristyn Cooper, and I'm the Director of Fundraising Initiatives here at LMA. I've been on staff for about 6 or 8 weeks now. So I'm new here, but I'm certainly not new to development in general. I've spent more years than I'd actually like to admit, 2 decades working in the philanthropic and nonprofit sector. I've primarily focused on grant strategy, donor engagement, grant writing administration, and what I like to call impact storytelling. So my background, I said, is in development, and I've worked across multiple sectors. The not-for-profit sector encompasses a lot of different types of organizations. So you can find yourself working for any number of types of nonprofits. So I've worked in education, healthcare, social services, community development. So joining LMA was exciting for me because this is new for me in a way. I've never worked for mission-driven journalism before. And I think it's pretty interesting and really important. I'm pretty passionate about helping organizations build meaningful donor relationships and helping them learn to use storytelling to connect generosity to community impact. And so I think journalists have a really, have a great understanding of how to do that. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity to connect the gifts that newsrooms get with why it's important. And the storytelling behind that is super important. And it's a big opportunity for this thing that we call Giving Tuesday. It happens December 2nd. And I know from my perspective, it's one of those days that falls along. You got Black Friday, you got Shop Local Saturday, you got Cyber Monday. I love Cyber Monday, but Giving Tuesday is important too. What is that? Why was it created? And how does it maybe apply to what we're doing here in terms of newsroom sustainability?
Tuesday is a global day of generosity that takes place the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's fairly recent. It started back in 2012 with just a simple idea that after we have these days that are focused on consumerism, such as Black Friday and Cyber Monday, as you mentioned, let's have a day dedicated to giving, supporting community and collective impact. And it just snowballed. It's grown into a worldwide movement. Individuals, nonprofits, businesses, grassroots groups, and they all participate. Last year, I think Giving Tuesday reported and estimated of $3.6 billion donated in the US just in that one day. It's enormous.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity for individuals to give. It's an opportunity for companies to give, for nonprofit, for philanthropic organizations who donate their money. It's toward the end of the year. It's a chance for them to give, and it's a huge opportunity for newsrooms. What are some lessons? You've worked in a lot of different sectors. What are some real world-class lessons you've learned in those other sectors that you think can be applied to newsrooms when it comes time to getting folks to give?
So part of your job in development is to kind of train your audience to expect fundraising messages, to normalize it. And so, journalists could work on that, just normalize year-round mission storytelling. I think that journalists obviously are probably, they are storytellers. They're great at that. And so you can utilize that to really talk about the impact of your work and the importance of supporting it. So you can just do that by being specific about what is the problem that you're trying to solve. It might be something in your community. You might be doing health reporting, or you might be trying to support democracy. It could be just any number of things. So you make that very clear. And then, you treat your partner, your supporters like partners. We don't want to just ask for money all the time, but you have to continually tell that story of like the impact and build connection with donors through that to inspire them to give and to hopefully keep giving to your cause.
There is, when I think of training our audience to expect the ask, I think of NPR. Of course, NPR stations and public broadcasting stations, you're used to that. In fact, it's kind of a running joke. When are they not in fundraising mode? But there is a lot to that. And it speaks to the power of storytelling in terms of setting the expectation, not only at giving time, but also in terms of building that relationship and helping the benefactor understand what they get as part of that partnership. So there are a lot of newsrooms who know how to do this and know how to do it well, but there are a lot of newsrooms who probably haven't gotten into asking mode when it comes to something like Giving Tuesday. Do you have a set of best practices? Does local media association have a set of best practices for newsrooms when it comes time to setting up their Giving Tuesday campaigns?
Just general guidelines would be to, if you're doing crowdfunding, just have a clear message. Make sure people know what they're giving to. Like your gift helps ensure the local news reaches the community, or, like I said, health reporting, that you're spreading awareness about health or education. Just make sure you have like a really clear message, and then share the impact of like your donation will support, neighborhoods that are served, like people having access to education or healthcare, or just like real news and not misinformation.
So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead. Did you have anything else to add to that?
Oh, there's a lot I could add. So you go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to invoke my previous boss at Griffin Media, who used to say all the time, we don't do a great job of talking about our values, talking about our why. And I feel like explaining the why of what we do in journalism, in newsrooms, is not just a Giving Tuesday task. It needs to kind of become an all the time task. Whether it be through individual reporters and their social media, their socials, if you will, the vertical videos. There's a lot of times when we'll put stories up on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and we'll just tell the story without explaining the context, why it's important, why it has impact, why it's strengthening the community. So do other sectors do that particularly well? Is there a sector in particular that does it great that journalism ought to be learning from?
I was going to say that that was one of my general guidelines, is that fundraising, it's not just at the end of the year, it's all year round. You have to be continually communicating with donors. And we have like a rule of thumb in fundraising that on average, it takes a donor like 17 different touch points before they will actually give. So
And
you can't just talk to people once a year.
and do those touch points have to be all in the same place? I mean, I think of in the sales funnel, you've got advertisements, you've got organic content, you've got billboards. What are some of the different touch points that newsrooms could do?
I would say, obviously, journalists are in a good position in that they have an audience already. A lot of small not-for-profits kind of struggle to build that audience. So you just have to play with like the mechanisms that work and try to find the messaging that works. So, of course, utilizing social media, utilizing your stories, always, try to make it personal. You're trying to solve like a a macro level problem, but like you can bring it down to the micro level and talk about how what you're doing like affects the individual, and you can put that in your stories.
Yeah, I think about the marketing funnel. Attention, of course. I think of the movie Glenn Ross. Always be closing, always be making the ask, as a friend of mine in sales once said. But I think of attention. I think of interest. You have to get their attention. You have to be measuring those whose attention you've gotten to gauge interest. And as you retarget your messages to those people, you can lead them to conversion.
It's very similar to marketing funnel. You have to diversify your communications with people. You have to try to reach them in many different ways. And I would say, maybe the thing about fundraising that is distinct from something like sales and marketing is that you're not like selling someone a product. And so fundraising tends to be a lot slower. Sometimes people can lose patience with the process. It takes longer to convert someone to a donor than it does, I think, to sell them something. Because you're not getting a product in return, so you really have to like tap into people's like intrinsic motivations. And once you do, like you can really rely on that for a long time. People give because they want to feel good. They want to make an impact. They want to change something. It gives them a sense of empowerment. And so if you can give that to them, they're going to stick with you for the long term, but it's not a quick process.
Are there ways for newsrooms to figure out what the motivations of their audience is?
Um, I would say like you could probably tell by the messaging you put out and the response to it. So if you are putting out a message of like you know, help us, we we need help raising money for this community, like, and it just doesn't go very well, then you can sort of like tweak your messaging and um try to keep it more positive and like make it not sound like you're a sinking ship, but make it sound like you're doing something really impactful by putting more data into it and showing people that they can really make a difference. So it's not just like figuring out how to communicate with people, it's also figuring out like the messaging that resonates with people. So if you're doing something, putting out a message, and it just doesn't seem to be yielding a lot of results, then you could stick with the way that you're communicating people, but you might want to first try like tweaking the message, making it more specific, making it more personal, making it showing more impact.
This is where I think organic content could be really powerful. When you talked about the impact of storytelling, because the best practice in social advertising right now is to create organic content, see what sticks in organic content, and then run ads against it. So I think if a newsroom is working all year long to tell their story and to show the impact that they're having in strengthening the community, and they see that certain styles and certain messages work, lean into those, because clearly not only are you getting the attention of potential givers, you're capturing their interest, and then it's time to convert. So if I'm a newsroom and I'm setting up my campaign for Giving Tuesday, do I need to have a web page on my site? Do I need to just have a button? Is it just about the original content that I do, or is it a little bit of all of the above?
It's all of the above. I mean, of course, you want to make giving as easy as possible. Like, you don't want to make it difficult for people to give gifts. So, if you just have a page you can point people to, yeah, that's great. You want to do everything you can to help them along in that process.
Could you speak a little bit up to the ease? Because I think that's important. You need to make it easy. The more friction that there is between the newsroom and the potential giver, the more likely there would be churn, that they would abort. So, what are some best practices in terms of making giving as easy as possible?
Yeah, just like making sure that donate button's there, that it's not hard to find. Make it big, make it obvious. Don't make people dig for it. Like, is there anything worse than being on a website and like you're looking for a link or a button and it's buried like 3 pages down? Like, it needs to be like front and center and just make it really easy for people to just go right there and click on it.
Mhm. Kristyn, another question. Something that I always hear people say on social media is how important gratitude is. What role does showing your appreciation to folks who give to your newsroom, how important is that, and how should you do it?
Well, it's central, you know? I mean, have you ever like given someone a wedding gift and you've like taken a lot of time and spent money on it and they just never send you a thank you note? You think about how that feels. It doesn't feel good. And then the next time that person has a shower or a birthday to you, you think, oh, I want to give them a gift.
Sometimes it's just acknowledgement. There,
It's just acknowledgement. Just let them know that you got it. Let them know that it's going to make a difference. And then the best thing that you can do to show gratitude is just to continue to communicate with them and to continue to show what their gift is doing to show them the impact. That's really why people give.
do you anticipate that this year's Giving Tuesday? I mean, there are parts of the country the economy doesn't feel. I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to speak to exactly where we are in terms of that. So, what's the vibe for this year? Are we expecting more giving, less giving?
To be honest, I'm not sure that we know because sometimes, I've been in this sector for a while and we've seen crises hit and we'll think, oh, giving is really going to drop. But then what people will be surprised by generosity because people will be concerned about an issue. And so that the giving might stay level. And then it also depends on who's impacted too. I mean, people who have a lot of resources may not be as impacted by what's going on in the community, probably aren't as much as people, you know, who have a lower income, although they tend to be more generous, which is kind of interesting. People with lower income tend to give a higher percentage of their income than people with higher incomes, but people with higher incomes have more money, so they give more dollars. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how it flushes out too. And a lot of giving depends on like the stock market for the previous year, which was okay. So I think it might end up being all right this year. Now next year,
I mean, we never really know year to year, but what we do know is that local newsrooms are strengthening their communities and having impact and keeping people connected and doing all the things to make the folks who live in their towns and their cities better informed citizens. So we're the choir. We're preaching to the choir here. We think it's important. Are there opportunities to give? I mean, there are opportunities to give to the local newsrooms in your area, many of whom are members of local media association. But is there an opportunity to give to local media association to help with our mission? And if so, what does that money go toward?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're here to support local journalism. So any gift that comes to LMF is going to, help support local media throughout the country. Yeah.
And so you mentioned LMF, LMA, LMF. For those who might not know, what's the difference?
Well, LMA is a nonprofit as well, but it's an association, and LMF is the foundation, which is the 501c3 charitable arm of LMA. So that's the arm that is allowed to raise money and give people tax deductible donations.
That makes a ton of sense. Kristyn Cooper, Director of Fundraising Initiatives with Local Media Association and Local Media Foundation. Now that we understand kind of how that works, is there anything that I'm missing here that we need to get the word out about Giving Tuesday? It's December 2nd, so it is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you have a newsroom that's really added to your quality of life, a newsroom that you support, this is a great day to do it. Am I missing anything, Kristyn, about this equation here?
I think you've pretty much got it, like every gift, large or small, it makes a difference. Just make sure people know that.
Well, Kristyn Cooper, thank you so much for your time. And if you happen to hear this podcast, the Keep It Local podcast from Local Media Association, and you're in a newsroom, share it with your journalist friends. Spread the word, like and subscribe, and make sure to bookmark this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are feeling so gracious, leave us a 5-star review so it can be discovered by others. For Kristyn Cooper, my name is Ryan Welton, both of us with Local Media Association. Until next time, keep it local. This has been Keep It Local, a podcast of the Local Media Association. If you got value out of today's podcast, why not give it a review wherever you heard it? And share it with a fellow journalist or an entire newsroom. Until next time, for Keep It Local, this is Ryan with the Local Media Association.